The death of Osama bin Laden. Is the world now safer? In the interview, German Foreign Minister Guido Westerwelle.
Mr. Foreign Minister, is the death of Osama bin Laden a turning point for you?
Das ist eine geschichtsträchtige Zäsur.
It's an historic turning point because it's also a chance to open a new chapter between the religions and cultures. I hope the fact Osama bin Laden can no longer carry out his horrible deeds can now be used as an opportunity for dialogue. It's impressive that the overwhelming majority of the younger generation in the Arab world want nothing to do with this terrorist of the past and are looking to the future.
Nichts zu tun haben will mit diesen Terroristen der Vergangenheit, sondern dass sie auf Zukunftschancen setzt.
So you believe that it's really a sea change with Osama bin Laden gone? Will the influence of Islamist fundamentalism in the mentality of the Islamic world also disappear?
Nicht alleine, sondern es kommen zwei Dinge zusammen. Einmal, dass
Not on its own. There are two things at work here. First, the head of this really horrible terrorist group can no longer operate. And secondly, we're now living in the midst of an Arab Spring, which began with the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia. And we hope that it will promote the idea of freedom in other countries. You see the young people currently demonstrating in Syria or at Tahrir Square, calling for more democracy and peace, reconciliation and better opportunities. They didn't yell hateful terrorist slogans. So it's the dawning of a new era, which has been marked by this success in the fight against Al-Qaeda.
Kommt hier eine Zeitenwende oder sind wir in einer Zeitenwende, die markiert wird, auch jetzt mit diesem Erfolg bei der Bekämpfung von Al-Qaeda.
Is the Arab Spring a bit like the revolutions against communism in 1989 in Europe?
I hope so, but that's not yet clear.
You've been to Egypt twice and you've been to Tunisia, and you were able to see firsthand how enthusiastic people were about the beginning of democracy. Do you believe that this democracy movement is irreversible?
Nein, der Prozess ist noch nicht unumkehrbar.
No, the process is not irreversible. We all have to work hard to make sure that this revolution ends well with stable democratic and peaceful structures. When I speak of peaceful structures, I mean peace at home and abroad. That's, of course, because relations with Israel are important to us Germans, and not only us.
You have just had talks with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. He has reconciled with the extremist group Hamas. Is that a chance for the Middle East to resolve this core problem of relations between Israel and the Palestinians?
Also die Vereinbarung, die zwischen Hamas und Fatah geschlossen worden ist, hat zwei Seiten. Die eine Seite.
There are two sides to the agreement between Hamas and Fatah. First, there is once again dialogue among the Palestinians, and that's good news. But at the same time, it's very unsettling that Hamas still considers Osama bin Laden a hero and a great role model. As long as Hamas continues to support violence and deny Israel's right to exist, Hamas will not be a bona fide partner for us Europeans and Germans.
Gewalt, das Existenzrecht Israels zu bestreiten, solange ist Hamas für uns Europäer, für uns Deutsche auch kein angemessener Partner.
What is German foreign policy doing for the recognition of a Palestinian state? How will Germany react if the Palestinians unilaterally declare statehood in the autumn?
Ich habe Präsident Abbas entschieden abgeraten von unilateralen, einseitigen Schritten, weil ich glaube,
I have advised President Abbas not to take any unilateral steps because I believe that they will achieve the opposite from what we want. We want a two-state solution. We of course want Israel to live within secure borders, but we also want the Palestinians to have their own state. So we're working with President Abbas and Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Salam Fayyad extremely well, and we want to continue doing so.
The situation in Libya is very difficult, if not even critical. The rebels have the upper hand in the east and Muammar Gaddafi in the west of the country. There is a no-fly zone, but the civil war continues. It appears that no one knows how things will evolve. What can be done in this situation?
We have to work towards a political solution.
With or without Gaddafi?
First of all, I want to see a ceasefire. I want Colonel Gaddafi to comply with his obligations and to stop the war against his own people. The most important thing is to make sure that there's an end to the suffering in Libya. And that means that somebody like Colonel Gaddafi, who began this war against his own people, no longer has the legitimacy to speak for his nation.
Ein Bürgerkrieg gegen das eigene Volk begonnen hat, keine Legitimation mehr hat, auch für sein Volk zu sprechen.
So if ground troops aren't deployed to end this civil war in the way that the West, without Germany, would like, then won't a political situation take longer than perhaps the rebels in Benghazi can last?
Also die Theorie, dass militärische Lösungen schneller gehen als politische.
I don't want to succumb to the theory that military solutions are faster than political ones. It's my impression that we have seen again and again how necessary political solutions are. If we distance ourselves from Libya for a moment and consider other issues such as Afghanistan, we see that since we agreed to an international political solution, there's been some progress in the past year and a half. In all likelihood, there will not be any military progress in Afghanistan. Success, but not a military victory. So it's necessary to support it with political solutions. And since we changed our strategy regarding Afghanistan and have focused on a political solution, we have a troop pullout on the horizon because we don't want German soldiers to be in Afghanistan forever.
Zum Beispiel in der Afghanistan-Politik durchgesetzt haben, auf eine politische Lösung setzen. Seitdem haben wir die Abzugsperspektive, denn wir wollen ja nicht auf ewig in Afghanistan mit deutschen Soldaten bleiben.
Do you expect a debate on a speedier pullout now that Osama bin Laden is dead?
Was das für die Sicherheitslage bedeutet.
We have to wait and see how it will affect the security situation. I expect a backlash at first. We know that Al-Qaeda will try to avenge the death of their leader with attacks. But in the midterm, we have a good chance that the regional transfer of responsibility for security will lead to the final transfer of responsibility. That means that we'll continue with our goal to withdraw all German combat troops from Afghanistan by 2014. That's what we've agreed to do with our international partners.
Das heißt, es bleibt bei dem Ziel, das wir vereinbart haben. Ab dem Jahr 2014 wird es keine Kampftruppen mehr, deutsche Kampftruppen mehr in Afghanistan geben. So ist es international auch mit den Partnern vereinbart.
Mr. Foreign Minister, after your informational tour through the Middle East, finally I'd like to ask you a totally different question. You are, after all, the chief diplomat of this country and responsible for foreign cultural policy. Can Germany do anything to gain the release of the Chinese artist Ai Weiwei?
Ob es gelingt, das weiß ich nicht.
I don't know if we will succeed, but I know and am convinced that we have to try. That's why we've made our position completely clear to the Chinese authorities. We want the artist Ai Weiwei to be released, and we have shown our solidarity with him because freedom of expression has to be respected. For us, that's a question of our own values, and an artist of his kind needs to be able to work. Last weekend, I went to an exhibition of his work in Berlin, and it wasn't just for personal reasons. There are all means of showing international solidarity which I encourage others to take part in.
Das sind alles Zeichen der internationalen Solidarisierung, zu denen ich auch andere ermutige.
Mr. Westerwelle, thank you very much for talking to us.
Danke Ihnen.